Hi guys, welcome back. So it's one day away from the World Cup. We're nearly there. I'm going to do the World Cup Q&A that I asked questions for last week, and also there's a few teams out for the games this weekend, so I'm going to have a quick look at those first. Why not get two in one? So first of all, New Zealand versus South Africa, and I'm kind of comparing these teams to the ones I thought they might go put out in my strongest 15 videos. New Zealand have gone for the Mo'unga and Beauden Barrett 10-15. Okay, I thought they might go back to Barrett and maybe a more traditional Smith at fullback, but they're going for it. And I see why they're going for it. Their team is super skillful. It looks like a team set up to beat press defences, to go wide, to use their handling, to use their skill and speed and counter-attack to beat opposition. So why not? They're going all in. You know, it's a big bet from Hansen, but if he pulls it off, it's going to be spectacular. Still not 100% proven with the Mo'unga Barrett axis. They were going for the Barrett McKenzie axis. You know, it's the same idea. Let's see if they can pull it off. And they've gone for their youngsters on the wings, or the inexperience on the wings. Bridge and Reese, they're the form players, they're the form wingers, and they've gone for them. So fine, why not? And then in the centres as well, they've gone for creativity, speed. Crotty, he's a master of all trades, really. He's very good at linking the play. They've gone for him at 12, and then the speed of Leonard Brown at 13, who's been in good form. And then with Mo'unga and Smith. So it's a very skillful, very quick backline. Not big, not huge, and it kind of reflects the way I think they're probably going to play, to be honest. They're not, you know, they can hold their own up front, but they're really looking to move the ball, use their skill, use their handling to beat these guys in hopefully the dry weather they're going to get. We'll see. Certainly Smith, Mo'unga and Barrett offers three very good kicking options as well. They're going to have a great kick game for sure. That's going to be a big part of their game, and they're not just going to run it from anywhere, I'm convinced, but the skill is there. In the front row, Moody and Coles, yes, Laulala I didn't get actually, but that's perfectly reasonable selection. I thought they might go to Peloto, you know, in the second row, but they've gone Whitelock and Barrett, probably their most skillful pairing as well. Then it's Severe, Kane and Reed, as we kind of thought in the back row. Severe 6, Reed at 8. So it's quick, it's skillful, it's exciting. I really like it. And it contrasts a bit with the South Africa team, which is very close to what I chose. I believe I am just the winger out. I didn't get Mpimpi and I didn't get Maherba, so I was kind of 13 out of 15 right on my selection there. But, you know, it's bigger. In the second row, they've gone Mostert and Etzebeth. Yeah, Kitsoff Marks, like I said. Khaleesi to Toy, and as I'm reliably informed every time I make this mistake, in South Africa, they put the 6 as the open side, the 7 as the blind side, and then big Dwayne Vermeulen at 8. LaRue pulling the strings at the back for them, loads of speed on the wings. Am does get the 13 slot as maybe the best all-rounder. Big Delande at 12, and then of course de Klerk and Pollard. So they're maxed out, they're going for their full strength team, certainly their form teams as well. New Zealand may be looking to counter-attack a bit more, to move the ball a bit more. South Africa will probably kick it a lot, they've got a lot of strength, they can go direct. It's a cracking clash. Still not sure how it's going to go, still just about tipping New Zealand, but we'll see. Let me know what you think of those teams. Now, Australia and Fiji. I'm pretty sure this Australia team's almost exactly the team I chose for my strongest 15. You might have to correct me there, but I think it is out of memory. Beale at 15, Hodge on one wing, Koroibete the other wing, then Karevi, and they're going O'Connor at 13. So interesting to see how he goes. And they've gone for White and Leilefano, the ones who are slightly better at controlling the game, tactically very astute. And then they've got Genya and Tamua on the bench, which is interesting. Rodder and Arnold, of course, starting at second row, and then Pocock straight back in at 6, Hooper at 7. You know, it's pretty much how I expected. Is it going to be good enough to beat Fiji? Well, if they play to their maximum, probably. But this Fijian team, as we thought, Tuasova in there, Botia, Radradra, Volavola's going to have to play a good game at 10, so I'm interested to watch him. Can they pressure him into making some mistakes potentially? You know, Nakawara, Mata, we know all about in the Northern Hemisphere at 8. Full of danger. How much have they improved by staying together for a significant amount of time? Can't wait for that one. What do you guys think? Now on to the World Cup Q&A. Thank you so much to everyone who commented, and just thank you just generally for everyone who comments normally. I learn so much from it. It's very interesting. It's a real safe place to comment and reply to others as well. So do keep doing it. Oh, and thank you very much. We've just gone over the 5,000 subscribers, which I'm very grateful for. That is brilliant. So straight in here, Sebastian Duche, I hope that's how you say it, says, what's your fancy team for the World Cup? 4 players maximum per nation. And I like these sort of games, as you know. Okay, so here's my fancy team just going into it. Haven't seen any games yet. I'd go Kitsoff, Taylor, Furlong. I know Taylor doesn't start, but I like him. And Nakarawa, Ryan from Ireland, Leach from Japan, Ardy Survey at 7, Billy V at 8, Faf de Klerk 9. I've gone for the mercurial Finn Russell at 10, pulling the strings. Beale playing 12 for me with Tuolangi outside him. Liam Williams, the master Welsh winger, on one wing. Tuasova, the Fijian absolute dynamite winger, on the other wing. And Bowden Barrett at the back. I like that team. Let me know what yours would be going into the World Cup. Good question. Okay, on to Murrah O'Donovan. Hopefully I got that right. And also Helen Jones, they've asked for bolters, breakout players. Who do you think people are going to be talking about? And I think it's going to be a player who's going to score a stack load of tries, because they always catch the eye, don't they? And the winger I think is going to really come to the fore is Sevu Reece. I can't see him not scoring a load of tries, or certainly being put into some space by that skill inside him. So Sevu Reece for me. Let's see how he goes. Thomas Wilson says, who do you think would win between England playing at their full potential and New Zealand playing at their full potential? I think New Zealand would. I just think England haven't quite proven it for me. They can do it consistently. I know you're saying at their full potential, but I don't know if we've seen England's full potential yet. But over the years, we've seen what New Zealand can do. I just think the skill in their team is unbelievable. People are talking up England, which is fine, but I'd still go for New Zealand for now. Christopher Darlington, okay, a bit more of a positional one here. What's the difference between number 6 blindside and number 7 openside? As I have mentioned, in South Africa they number them round the other way. But an open side essentially is someone who packs down on the open side of the scrum, the big side of the scrum, and traditionally that means they'd have to be quick to get out to the first ruck to make the first tackle. They tend to be a bit smaller, a bit better in the contact area, and the 6 covering less area would maybe be a bit bigger. But you'll see teams kind of balance out these roles sometimes. Sometimes teams will have bigger 7s and they balance out the jackling role between them and the breakdown role between them. So it is blurring, but essentially that's the traditional definition, I guess. Aaron Homewood says, who's one player from each Six Nations Rugby Championship who's going under the radar? Well, I'm just going for 4. Oh, and Rugby Championship teams. So I'll go for one from New Zealand. I think Ryan Crotty may well be going under the radar. He's just come back from injury, looking very good in his comeback games. And he's a real clever player, good runner, good handler. New Zealand really like him for linking their play and being that X factor, if you like, in the midfield, making things happen. So for South Africa, a bit more of not a basic player, but one I think really give them direction is Diolande at 12. He's a massive handful at 12. He'll hold players, he'll punch holes, and it's just perfect for what South Africa want. So yeah, watch out for him. Another one for Ireland, under the radar, maybe off the out for Kilcoyne. That prop is in serious form, very explosive, absolutely peaking at the right time. And for Wales, watch out for young Wainwright, the flanker. He's maybe one for the future, but he's really talented. So those are my 4. Who would yours be? A question from Cormac Flanagan. Who do you think is the world's best player going into this World Cup? Well, generally the best players in my head have been from New Zealand. Obviously it's massively subjective, but for a long time it was Dan Carter, who was just, I thought, almost perfect. I think there's a film called that coming out, isn't there? Perfect 10. Then it went to a forward, Brodie Retallick, and at his best, I just thought there's no one close to him. And now, I'm afraid it's another All Black, Bowden Barrett. Just a brilliant rugby player, so dangerous, skillful, kicking, handling, running. Absolutely fantastic. Who would be your world's best player at the moment? Okay, and Austin Arsenault. Probably haven't said that right. What underdog country do you think will overachieve? Well, it's a massive guess, but let's go for Japan. They've got the motivation, they've got decent form, got a lot of good players, so we'll go for them. Go for the hosts. Okay, Matthew 1818. Although it may feel like a luxury, do you think there's potential in playing Slade and Joseph 12 and 13 essentially? Yeah, there's potential there. Very skillful. I'll just say it's too late. It's an experiment that they might have done, but they haven't done. I just don't think it's worth taking that risk right now. But a good idea. Jordan Clark has come up with a question that, has been talked about quite a lot recently, about World Rugby helping Tier 2 nations, developing Tier 2 nations to be able to compete and maybe one day win a World Cup. And all I'd really like to say about that is when World Rugby are helping a Tier 2 nation, I think the goal has to be long-term and sustainability as the bedrock. Just giving money to these nations may not help in the long term. A good example of where I think a Tier 2 nation could well work, if you like, and work their way up to Tier 1 is the USA. Why is that? Well, finally they've got a sustainable professional game, which I hope does keep going after a few times of trying. And also because there's now this end goal, this professional goal, their big sporting system, the collegiate system, the school system will start giving scholarships. Young athletes will see rugby as a route way, and rather than transferring late from other American sports, they'll develop their own rugby players. And if one nation does professional athletics, developing athletes better than any other, it is the USA. So watch out for them, and then their goal really will be to be getting a better, harder fixture list, which is where World Rugby might be able to help as well. But yeah, sustainability, certainly the key there, I believe. All right, James Winkley, 3 questions here. I'm going to have a go at answering number 3. What do you think playing in Japan will be like? Will it have an influence on the rugby we see? Well, it's going to be very different for people who haven't played there before. We're all told it's humid, it's hot, it's slippery, and absolutely, if you're not used to that, it's going to be a problem. Some teams trying to play a bit more expansively, maybe we'll see more mistakes. We know, we've been reading they've been dipping their rugby balls in all sorts of oil and slippery substances to get used to that, for sure. And there is rain around, big rainstorms coming. It looks like Ireland, Scotland may well be a downpour. And if that's the case, well, sure, it'll influence the game, maybe advantage Ireland for their game. Colt Rovox next, who says, who do you reckon will be the top try scorer? Well, who knows, but I think that New Zealand-South Africa pool is a pool where both of those teams can make hay and score a lot of tries. I could easily go for a fast back from that team, but let's go different. Let's go for a forward. Ardi Sevilla pops up everywhere, scores lots of tries. Let's go for a forward for once. Ardi Sevilla, top try scorer. A question from AJP, whoever that is, basically says they're a little bit worried about England. They can concede a lot of penalties, maintaining control under pressure is a bit of a problem. It's happened before. What do I think? And yeah, that's pretty much my fears. Potentially fantastic, but we've seen some weaknesses there. There's a lot of hard games to get through and not make these mistakes. So fingers crossed, probably need a slice of luck as well there, to be honest. Work stuff, comments. Who would be your ideal 9-10 England combination, including those not picked for the squad without caps or without caps? Let's go first. Ben Spencer and Marcus Smith. Fantastic talents. I'd love to see those two together. If they could get together and play 9-10 after the World Cup for England, I'd be all for that. An interesting question from Timon Burford, who says, is the current format poor because it only allows Tier 1 sides to escape from the pools? Well, yeah, it's not fair, that's for sure. Life's not fair. Maybe it should be, but it's set up for the big teams to get to the knockouts, basically. They think that they want the big teams later in the tournament, so there's media interest, there's sponsorship interest, people watch it, they go to the matches. That's really what they want. They want these big teams to get to those big games because it makes the most money. And yeah, that's not fair, but that's how World Rugby makes all its money, and they want to maximise it. And you could argue, if they make lots of money, they could then go back to put the money into developing the other nations. But I would say, even if a Tier 2 side got into a semi-final, it's going to be a sellout. It's going to be a story. It's going to be excited. I don't think they need to worry so much. So yeah, I'd make it a little bit more random maybe, a bit fairer, give them a chance of getting through. What do you guys think? Timon Burford sneaks another question in here, fair enough. Do you think the smaller Pacific Islands should consider playing as one single team like the West Indies? It's an interesting idea. I'd like to see it, but I don't think it's a sustainable, particularly good idea actually, because it's very short term. And talent's not their issue. The issue are things like, can they get a pro team going there? There's so many difficult reasons why that's going to be hard. Can they get sponsorship? Can they get funding? Can they get their governance to be professional and weed out corruption? I think those are the things that will make the big difference for the Pacific Islands competing in the long run. Okay, James Stovall says, discussion of the rules. Are there any changes you would make and what effects might they have? So my change would be you can't score on the base of the post. I hate that rule. It makes no sense. Now the post protectors stick out a good way. It's just too easy. The defenders can't defend it. Just take it out of the equation. That means there's 2 foot taken away from the try line. There's plenty of other space. It generally would not even be an issue. Just take it away. And the thing to watch out for, I would say, current rule changes, obviously being strict on the high tackle, watch out for yellow and red card / penalty consistency. That could be a big talking point. Right, last question. James Standerloft, maybe he's a tall guy. There's been a lot of talk around Ford Farrell access, or Farrell at 10. If England make it to the final and they're both injured, what is plan C? Well, I think plan B, if they lost one of them, is to call up Marcus Smith or maybe even Alex Good to step in as the backup 10 to keep the dynamics similar. But if both got injured, I think plan C is C for Cipriani. He's the only guy I could see coming into England, calling the shots, being the main man. It would be a hell of a shake-up, but I think that is the last-ditch option there. I don't think getting Slade or Piers Francis in there to play 10 in a World Cup final would be the best idea. And I don't think Andy Good will come out of retirement. Okay, guys, hope you enjoyed that. And next time, hopefully, we'll have a game to review. Enjoy it. Until then, I'll see you later.